All right, last one for the day, then I'm done. But I need to talk to you guys about the reptilian brain because it's an important part. And if you learn this, a lot of your life is going to be pretty cool and pretty easy. So the reptilian brain is a part of your brain that's responsible for impulses, control, emotions, vices, addictions. It wants sex, it wants violence, it wants sugar, it wants salt, it wants drugs, it wants all of the things all of the time because that's the oldest part of your brain. And the oldest part of your brain is extremely reactive, okay? It only thinks in the short term, and it's like an alligator brain, right? It houses your amygdala, which is responsible for fear and emotional control, as well as your hypothalamus, which is associated with higher levels of learning, but also kind of a slave to the amygdala. And your brain is hardwired for survival. So your brain's only concern is to keep it alive. And your brain does this by recognizing fear, by recognizing things in your environment that can kill you, right? And if you didn't have this part of your brain, you would just consistently take a left into traffic instead of really thinking about checking both ways before you cross the street. Anyways, your reptilian brain is what makes people extremely reactive. And when people live out of this, you live from a place of fear. You live from a place of lack. And this can be very controlling if you don't know this information. Your mammalian brain is more responsible for higher levels of emotion, intimacy, connecting, partnerships, family, that kind of stuff. But it's still an old part of your brain that just continues to serve the ego. And your ego is the self-identity that kind of is the go-between between both of these parts of your brain. And your ego is concerned with just having its identity maintained, meaning that it doesn't want change. Your ego doesn't like change. It doesn't like a challenge to the status quo. In your reptilian brain, your ego, and your mammalian brain, all three of these parts are all concerned with the short term. They don't really think long term. So people that are very emotionally reactive, or people that just constantly bicker or constantly are reacting to certain things, or you're checking your phone first thing in the morning and you're always having emotional responses, it's because you're living out of this part of your brain. The most newly formed part of your brain is the neocortex, and that's responsible for conscious thinking, logic, and reasoning. And thank God we have that, because once you start choosing logic and reason, you can start to change your actions in the physical world. This takes a while. This is the process that I walk my clients through. We talk a lot about anatomy and physiology in order to rewire their brain, in order to help them get over something or build a business or to just support them in their daily activities. It's my favorite part of my work. I get to talk about the brain, the body, the heart, and then teach clients how to use this stuff effectively. So, how do you do this? It takes a while. It's not an overnight process. That's why I like to work with people weekly or bi-weekly. But once you identify, and I had this conversation last night with a client, once you identify these parts of your brain, stuff starts to make sense based upon your individual experiences and what you're currently going through. I can't speak broadly about how to fix your problems, but understanding your own anatomy and physiology and having the will to change it and putting into some of my tactics, this ushers a whole new level of thinking, of understanding. When you start to choose logic and reasoning, doesn't mean that you don't have emotions, but now you're able to sort of witness, honor, and temper those emotions, which will no longer make you emotionally reactive. And this is probably the number one thing that my clients want. They want to learn how to not be emotionally reactive. They want to learn how to be consistent. They want to learn how to make their brain work for them. And it took me a while to do this, and it still takes work. You don't do it once and then you're good forever. It's a consistent learning process. But study this. Go look this up on your own. Reptilian brain, mammalian brain, the ego, identity. What is it? If you let those emotionally reactive, volatile things in the driver's seat of your life, you will never grow. You will never get what you want. You will always be chasing one dopamine addiction after another, after another, after another, and you will be a slave to your own animal instincts, which, in my opinion, is really no way to live your life. So, I'll keep this video to this point, but there's so much more I could talk about. If you want to book a call or you want to become a client, hit me up. Links in the bio, send me a DM, we can talk. All right, see you in the next one.